Yesterday, I put up a post in my conversations with the Godhead about my first conversation with Abba. And as always, when I put up posts like that, I got a lot of messages. Oh, I'm looking forward to when I'll have that, when I'll be able to hear Abba, when I'll be able to speak to God, so many like that. But you know, the funny thing is, a few years after I had that experience, that was when I started to realize I'd always heard God. I just didn't know it was him. And that's where I'm getting at this morning. Every single believer, in fact, even unbelievers, we hear God. We just don't know it's him. Because number one, God speaks to all his children. He speaks to all his children. Not only that, he speaks to creation. He speaks to people because he wants to draw them to himself. We hear him. We actually do hear him. The problem is we've not learned to identify his voice. Let me give you an example. My neighbor, she has a 3-month-old baby right now. Whenever any one of us speak, she turns in our direction. If I speak, she turns to look at me. My husband speaks, she turns. Her father speaks, she turns. But after a while, she'll start crying. And then her mother comes and speaks and she will keep quiet. The mother carries her and she'll start smiling. Why? Because she knows the mother's voice. How come she knows the mother's voice more than all other voices? Because she spends time with the mother. And that is just the difference. Her waking up, her feeding, her sleeping, her playing is constantly around the mother. Now, over time, as years go on, she will learn to identify my voice, identify the voice of her sisters, identify the voice of neighbors all around. But it will take longer. You know why it will take longer? Because we don't spend as much time with her. And that is the difference in why you have not been able to identify the voice of God. You don't spend time with God. You know, the Bible says something in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 10. It says, and there are many voices in the world, and there is none without significance. What it's trying to tell you is that there are so many voices in the world, and there's the voice of social media, the voice of your friends, the voice of your pastors, the voice of your mind, the voice of the enemy, the voice of so many things all over the world. And every single one of these voices are demanding your attention. The one you spend time with, you pay attention to, is the one you will identify, that you'll be able to recognize easily. And that is why you've not been able to, in quotes, hear God. You are hearing him, you just can't pick out his voice from all the many voices speaking to you. You can hear God. He speaks to you. In fact, when you later get to identify his voice, that is when you realize, oh, so that time it was you. Oh, so that time 14 years ago it was you. That's when you realize you have always heard him. You just didn't know it was him. You need to spend time with God. How do you recognize the voice of your husband, the voice of your friends, the voice of your family members? The more you spend time with them, that's how you are able to recognize it. That's why you can pick them out of the crowd. No matter how many people are speaking to you right now, if your spouse speaks to you, you will immediately know, oh, this is my husband, this is my wife. If your child speaks, you will immediately pick out their voice. You know those things they do on social media now, where people will sit down and they'll say someone should speak behind them and they should identify the person. Have you noticed that the person they spend time with a lot, the moment they hear that person's voice, they'll start laughing and say, I can never miss it. That is Esther. And everybody will laugh. You know why? That's the person they've spent a lot of time with, that they can pick out the voice anywhere, no matter what. Why you've not been able to identify his voice out of all the plenty voices around you. You don't spend time with him. How do you spend time with God? By reading the Bible, prayer, listening to sermon, and going to church, belonging to a church. Those are things that help us to know God and be able to identify his voice. And this also answers the question people are always asking me, that how do I know it is God talking and not my mind? It's simply spending time with him. There's no other way. And see, it's the consistency of spending time with someone that will help you to get to know that person faster. Just as I was talking about the baby, I said eventually she will learn to recognize my voice, but it will take a longer time because there are days she doesn't even see me at all. She doesn't even hear my voice because I don't live in the same house with her. You get? That's the same way with God. See, when you are not consistent, it will take you a longer time to be able to recognize his voice. But when you are consistent, every day you make sure you spend time with him. You don't miss Bible time. You don't miss prayer time. You go to church consistently. You listen to sermons consistently, not only from your church. We have so many wonderful men and women of God who teach us things about God. Those are the ways you will learn to know God, to be able to identify his voice. And there is no substitute for consistency. So do that and you'll be able to pick out the voice of God easily amidst all the voices. I mean, if some of you spend as much time with God as you spend with social media, by now you'll be gisting with God easily. Look at my son. If I'm listening to Apostle Selman, he doesn't need to come and see what I'm doing. From wherever he is, he hears the voice. He'll say, you are listening to Apostle. If he hears Pastor Femi Lazarus' voice, he can immediately pick it out because he has heard it again and again. There are so many of you that no matter where you hear my voice, you can pick it out. Why? You've listened to me so many times, you've been able to identify my voice anywhere. It's the same way with God. Spend time with him. There's no magic about it. He speaks to all of us. It's just that you can't pick out his voice. Spend time with him and be consistent with it. And before you know it, you'll be gisting with him 247. Okay? I'll see you again next week.